For the past 3 workouts, I've tried one thing that made me realize that I was going to surpass everyone in my local gym and achieve my dream aesthetic physique at a level that no one else will be able to. At the end of each workout, I left feeling sad, wishing that my younger 17-year-old self knew this because he could have made way more progress and attracted way more girls way faster. That's how powerful this is. And I only recently learned about it from watching a random Alex Eubank video where he's just casually spitting game about how he built his physique and giving some tips on it. I heard it, randomly decided to try it, and it's gonna change the way that I work out forever. 2 days ago, I rewrote my entire routine because of this. I watch a lot of educational content on building an aesthetic physique, and in my 4 years of lifting, I've never heard about this once. Because the goal of this channel is to get you an aesthetic, attractive physique, I feel it's my duty to share it with you. It's extremely simple to include as well, but if you're not going to take action on this, then don't watch this video. I'm serious. Results only come to those who take action. And if you're not going to implement what I tell you, if you're not going to commit to watching the video to the end and implement what I tell you, then all of the watch time is wasted. So I'm gonna need you to commit to that now. Say, all right, I'm gonna focus on this video. I'm gonna watch the video to the end, learn about this, and implement this in my routine. I'm gonna take action on this, and I promise you it's worth it. I ask that also because you're probably going to be tricked by how simple it seems and how easy it seems and how much of a small difference it appears to be. You might even be a bit disappointed when I tell you, right? Maybe like, oh, that's not as exciting as I thought it was gonna be. That can't possibly work. But before you pass judgment on it, I'm just asking you to try it out. It costs you nothing, it's free. I just want you to try it out. My goal with this is I want you to like me, right? So I want you to get results in the gym because if you try this out, if you change up your routine, you try this out, and it works, and you have the same experience that I did, you're gonna be like, oh shit, that Ryan guy's right. Okay, now I have to subscribe to him, right? So Alex Eubank frequently preaches something called pre-exhaustion. Pre-exhaustion is where, before you do your main lifts for your workout, you find a similar isolation exercise that can activate the muscle you want to target and do a couple sets of those for lower weight and higher reps, right? For push day, if you're trying to work chest, right? If you're doing bench press, what that could look like is before you do your sets of bench press, go over to the chest fly machine, set the weight kind of low, something that's somewhat easy, and then perform sets of 15, 3 sets of 15 reps of flies. This will pre-fatigue the muscle and kind of pre-activate it, right? So it'll increase the mind-muscle connection, which Alex also swears by in every single one of his videos where he teaches how to build an aesthetic physique. He says, and he's very unique in this, mind-muscle connection is the #1 thing that he used to build his physique. And his physique is pretty good, right? So maybe we should listen to him. Pre-exhaustion works. For squats, this could be something like squats work mainly quads, right? So the isolation exercise for that, before you do your squats, could be leg extension. Get on the leg extension machine, set it to kind of a lowish, easy-ish weight, and then do sets of 15, 3 sets of 15. And then do your squats. You will feel it so much better. Now I know what you're probably thinking, because I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, ew, gross, machines. I don't like machines. Compound exercises are better. This can't possibly do anything. That's what I was thinking. If you're thinking the same thing, I understand. Because after you graduate to like compound lifts, after you get strong enough to where you don't have to rely on the machines, you can do your compound lifts because you've built up the stabilizer muscles and the balance and stuff like that. You don't really want to go back to the machines because they feel inferior, okay? Remember I told you you're probably going to get tricked by how simple this seems, how like almost easy this seems. I promise you, if you focus on just adding a couple of short sets of isolation exercise for that muscle group, really focus on activating it before your main lift, you're gonna feel it so much better. Again, I'm asking you to just try it out. So that was my initial reaction. I was like, this can't possibly be the case, you know? Machines, like I don't even like machines that much. They don't work the muscle groups as much as I want to. This can't possibly work. But Alex Eubank has a very good physique, and I was like, I might as well try it because I've not really heard this technique before. So I did it on push day. It was a day, it was actually more like a full body day. I was working some chest, I was working some legs, right? So before I do my incline bench press, I go over to the pec deck and I do a nice set of some low weight chest flies, right? And I can sort of feel it in my chest. It's not a good workout, right? But I can definitely feel my chest getting activated. I'm like, all right, not bad. I can kind of understand where he's coming from. And then I get on the incline bench, and that was the best I've ever felt the incline bench in my chest ever. Sometimes when you do these compound exercises, you can end up feeling them in the wrong place, right? Like bench press, a lot of it can be shoulders or triceps or stuff like that, whereas like you really just want to work your chest. That's what you want to end up working, right? Pre-exhaustion fixes this because it forces your mind to pay attention to the muscle that you want to work, like chest. It automatically forces the exercise to use that muscle group and not kind of ignore it. Have you ever had those workouts where it's like you push a lot of weight, like you really tried, and yet you don't really feel it in your muscles? Like you don't feel, not even like you don't feel sore, like you don't feel like they got really activated at all. This completely fixes it. This goes from, yeah, you might activate the muscles, to, okay, I'm going to activate my muscles every single workout, and I'm going to make sure that they push themselves to the limit. Imagine how big of a change that is, right? You're making sure your muscles are activated every single workout by just simply doing some sets on an isolation exercise. It's deceivingly simple, but it's so powerful. I'm begging you to try this. This is a night and day difference. Now, you are going to take kind of an ego hit from doing this because you're going to perform worse on your actual lifts, right? Of course, because we're pre-exhausting the muscle before we go to our main compound lifts of the exercise. But it's absolutely worth it. The worst thing in the world is when you still have gas in the tank after workout. We need our workouts to be extremely intense, and this is the way to do it, right? If you do that, you pre-fatigue the muscle and you exhaust all of its energy. It's naturally going to be forced to adapt better for the next workout, right? You're not going to have any more workouts where it's just, it wasn't very good, you don't feel very sore, you don't feel like you worked the muscle enough. That's not going to happen anymore when you implement this. Every single workout, you're going to, A, feel it in your muscle every single time, or muscles if you work multiple muscle groups, and B, you're not going to have any gas in the tank left. You're going to be pushing your muscles to their absolute limit. So I just want to encourage you to just try this before you kind of pass judgment on it and say, well, that doesn't seem like that big of a difference. That can't possibly help that much with muscle growth. Just try it first. If you have your routine written down, which I hope you do, that's actionable step number 1, write down your routine. Change it up so that you include pre-fatigue sets. So for each one, I've been experimenting with 3 sets of 15 reps, each low weight, as I've been talking about, right? I'll actually pull it up and I'll show you my routine I have written down currently, right? The way I have it written down. So here is, I don't know if you can see that well. Is that going to focus? Here is a sample of my push day. So I normally have one pre-fatigue exercise, right? And then I work the rest of the exercises for the muscle group. And I do that for every muscle group that I work for that day. I will include a pre-fatigue exercise before I work them. It's been a night and day difference. This is going to be how I exercise forever now. For the rest of my life, I'm going to implement this. This has seriously been like life-changing for my fitness journey, and I'm really excited to start seeing the massive results. I can already feel it. I already feel like I'm way more sore than I used to be. It's incredible. Like I have that feeling again that I'm sore, which I haven't been for a really long time, and B, I feel like my body has actually been exhausted of the gas in the tank. Like I really did push all that I had. I remember yesterday was pull day, and I can normally curl like 45-pound dumbbells, right? For 10 reps. Yesterday, because I did some pre-fatiguing and I worked back really hard, I could barely get 15 pounds up. Which again is like embarrassing because you're gonna take an ego hit from this. But if you can quell the ego, if you can like, you know, be kind of humble, that's kind of awesome. Like you're working your biceps so much, you're working your, XYZ muscle group so much that you can barely push or lift what you could before. If you got any value from this video, there's something you can do which is a win-win for both of us, which is to scroll down and click the subscribe button. I win because I get a new subscriber. You win because anytime I have a new insight, thought, learn something new, I can make a video and directly give you value. Thank you so much for watching.